Aaron Rodgers, meet Jets fans. Jets fans, meet Aaron Rodgers. I'm Glenn Naughton with JetNation.com. Be sure to log in to JetNation.com where you can register and become a part of what is the most active Jets message board on the web. Give us a follow on Twitter. Join the 23,000 people already following. So Aaron Rodgers this week goes on McAfee, the Pat McAfee show, which he will be doing weekly throughout the season. And he's asked about how he feels about some of the stuff he's seen this season throughout the league and also with his own team. Aaron Rodgers, whose only real exposure to Jets fans has been a roaring but small crowd at training camp. I mean, small in terms of what you see at MetLife. Nice turnout. Every seat was full. He's got roaring fans there cheering his name. He's got the 9/11 Monday Night Football debut, which was, let's be honest, that was like a damn Super Bowl environment. That was crazy. Jets fans blew the lid off that place. It gave me chills. Probably gave Aaron Rodgers chills. That's been his experience with Jets fans. Now he's on the sideline. Team is struggling, and all of a sudden, Aaron Rodgers is like, "You guys need to calm down. What's going on here? Who's we're 3 weeks into the season, and you're melting down. Joe Namath wants Joe Namath wants everybody fired and burn down the building. Jets fans want everybody benched and sit. You want to sit my best friend Randall Cobb, and you want my buddy Nathaniel Hackett. Nathaniel Hackett's the reason Rodgers came here. I don't tell me what you want. Hackett without Hackett, there's no Rodgers. You want my guy Hackett fired. You want Cobb benched. What the hell's going on here? And Jets fans, hi Aaron. You just got here. So don't tell us how to act. Don't tell us to calm down. 10, 11 years playoff drought. We're not making it again this year. And so now we have this introduction of like the real Jets fans and the real Aaron Rodgers. And I'm sure it'll be fine. Um, I don't think you want to go. I mean, it could get interesting. If this drags out all year long and every week it's fire Nathaniel Hackett and bench Cobb and why is Billy Turner on the roster and Alan Lazard with another drop and and Dalvin Cook discussed that the other day with a few different people. It really looks like Dalvin Cook is cooked, and Rodgers was a big proponent of bringing him in. Like you saw them interact on one Jets drive, and they did the two of them. So between one Jets drive and Hard Knocks, I forget which thing happened on which show. But we saw Rodgers like, "Hey, buddy, what's up, Cook? Come on, man, sign here, come with us." So he wanted him. We had to be in management's ear, and listen. They've been doing everything they can to accommodate Aaron Rodgers. They went out and got Lazard before Rodgers was even here, but they knew teammates, close relationship. Let's get him in here. Let's hire Nathaniel Hackett so maybe he can help lure Rodgers here. Okay, let's bring in Randall Cobb. That's Rodgers, one of his best friends. They've played a million years together. Oh, Hackett and Rodgers both signed off on Billy Turner. Let's bring him in here and let's get all these guys that Aaron's comfortable with and happy with. And some people rip that, which is stupid because we've seen it over the years. We've talked about this. Legendary quarterbacks, even decent quarterbacks, when a quarterback shows up in a place and he's the new guy, he'll often say like, "Hey, man, can we get like a few guys in here who I'm comfortable with, who know the system, who won't take as much time to get spun up as the other guys will, kind of accelerate the process." And teams do it. It's not a big deal. Where it can become a big deal is when you go out and you get Aaron Rodgers and you bring in Lazard because you know Rodgers is coming, and you bring in Billy Turner because he likes him, and you bring in Dalvin Cook because he likes him, and you bring in Randall Cobb because he's one of his best friends, and then Rodgers gets hurt. And now Cobb is obsolete. Um, Hackett, and this is the big one, Hackett is under the microscope because he's no longer being carried by Aaron Rodgers. Listen, Peyton Manning made Adam Gase look like a genius. How'd that work out without Peyton Manning? And now we can say Hackett looked like a genius with Aaron Rodgers. And now, and I wrote this as soon as the injury happened. I said now Hackett's under the microscope because before, and whether it's fair or not to Nathaniel Hackett, if Rodgers was under center and he was bombs away, putting up 30 points a game, everybody would give Rodgers the credit, and you can live with Hackett. That's fine. You don't care if it's Rodgers throwing touchdowns. But now that it's not, and now that it's on Hackett to make this happen, quick anecdote. You talk about, I've said a few times this week about how it feels like we're in a damn time machine. How some things change, or the more things change, the more they stay the same. Star quarterback ruptures Achilles on opening day for Super Bowl team. Where have we heard that before? Team goes over the top to appease high pick but disappointing quarterback. Mark Sanchez, huge contract. Zach Wilson, no competition. Like these things keep happening over and over again. And one that popped into my head last night as I'm driving, and long story short, as long a story as possible, make it as short as possible. Several years ago, I'm at work. I come in. I'm a medic. I go to work and I show up and they say, "Hey, the person who works our front desk didn't show up today," which would happen periodically. Front desk person is running late. We need someone to go cover the phones for an hour. Nobody wants to cover the phones. Glenn, go cover the phones. Damn it. You can come back to your patients in an hour. Go answer the phones for now. Go answer the phones. I'm up there, not 5 minutes. Phone rings. Pick up the phone. Person on the other line says, "Just calling to confirm how many people are coming to the Joe Namath event tonight." And I'm thinking, did I hear that right? I'm like, I'm at work, right? I'm a medic. I'm in a medical facility. I'm not in my personal life. I said, "Excuse me, could you say that again?" "Yeah, just wanted to find out how many people were confirmed for the Joe Namath event tonight." Uh, well, I know of at least one. You can take his name. It's Glenn Naughton. He'll be coming to the Joe Namath event tonight. If you can just let me know where and when. So it turned out Namath was local. He was plugging a pain medication, and there were going to be all bunch of doctors there. They would get to listen to Namath speak, ask a couple questions, and then get a picture with him. So I go, and this is the Paul Hackett years. And we go, we listen to Namath talk. I would argue 95% of the crowd had no idea. There was a famous Bill Parcells quote: "Didn't know if the ball was filled with feathers or air." Right? Like not a big football crowd, but people are not a ton of questions rolling in because not a lot of people know what to ask. But I get to ask a question, and I ask Namath. I say, "Joe, is it time for Paul Hackett to open up the offense a little bit and just even if you're not connecting, like maybe throw some deep balls to make the defense respect him a little bit and open things up and give Pennington a little more room to work with." And Namath kind of defends Hackett. "Oh, fans always they know what's best and they think that the blah, blah, blah." Okay. Um, Fast forward to today, however many years later it is. I don't know, 20 years, 19, 18. I don't know how many years ago it was. And here we are with an offensive coordinator. It's Paul Hackett's kid. And we're watching the games and everybody's saying, "Why isn't this guy letting Zach Wilson throw the ball down the field and open things up a little bit and make things easier on the quarterback?" I know Zach Wilson's bad. I get it. But if you're not going to at least make a defense respect the possibility, like they don't even have to worry about getting burnt on an occasional fluke throw, right? Because you're talking NFL quarterback, no matter who it is, guys can hit a deep ball every now and then. And if you just do it often enough to keep in the back of a defense's mind, it's one more thing to account for in your preparation. And we know as Jets fans, because we've not had a good quarterback in a long time, but we've faced a lot of really good ones. And what do we hear from the team when you're getting ready to play these guys? "Oh, there's so much to account for. You have to worry he's going to beat you with his legs. He can hit the deep ball. He can work you underneath. There's so many things you have to game plan for." And they talk about how difficult it is to game plan for a quarterback who brings a lot to the table. And then they have their own quarterback in Zach Wilson, who is bad. Again, this is not a Zach Wilson defense thing. Zach Wilson's been bad, but the coaching hasn't helped him. And we've seen that. I mentioned this the other day. Zach Rosenblatt on Scott Mason Play Like a Jet podcast came out and said the feeling in the locker room after the game was that, yeah, we know Zach's not very good, but it really would be nice if the coaches would put him in the best position. So they're over it. They've accepted the fact the quarterback isn't that good, but they're also recognizing the fact that the team isn't maximizing the things he can do. And what he can do, he can run. He's athletic. How about some RPOs? How about some design runs for Zach Wilson? How about having him throw on the run, which we've seen him do with some success in the past? How about having him throw the ball beyond 10, 12, 15 yards? So again, defenses have to account for it. So they have the game plan for it, but they don't. So what do we get? We get Randall Gay laughing. Randall Gay, what do you see on tape? What are the Jets trying to do? Run the ball. More specifically, what do you see when you look at Zach Wilson that the Jets are trying to do? And he laughs and says, "Run the ball." And he's right. And teams are stacking the box. And listen, teams are basically saying to the Jets, "We're going to put 8, 9, 10, 11 guys in the box until your quarterback proves he can beat us." And the Jets' response is, "We're not going to give him a chance to prove he can beat you. We're going to play into your hands. We're going to throw everything 10, 15 yards and in, mostly 10 yards and in." Zach Wilson, 30th in the NFL in air yards per attempt. He's averaging like 3 to 4 yards through the air on average. That's how far the ball is traveling. I mean, this is high school level offense at this point, and the Jets are happily going out there running it. So it's another year of Hackett, and this is the problem. This was always one of the problems. In acquiring Aaron Rodgers, you bring in an offensive coordinator who's not good. Aaron Rodgers is not young. Aaron Rodgers gets hurt. And now what have we got? We've got a full NFL football season of bad coordinator, a few dead weight spots on the roster, guys who could be replaced by younger players with a bit more potential. And now you just tread water with Zach Wilson and Trevor Siemian until next season gets here and hope then that Aaron Rodgers can stay healthy. And hope then he's not listen, Aaron Rodgers is asking questions after 3 weeks. How's he going to feel after we've got 14 more weeks, more likely than not. We've got another 14 weeks. Maybe you sprinkle in a few wins and things die down for 4 or 5 days, but for the most part, we've got 14 weeks left of Hackett's terrible. What are we doing? Why is Cobb playing? Alan Lazard's got to hold on to the ball. Listen, fans were ecstatic when the Jets got him. I didn't hate the move, but I said at the time, or I said when the Jets didn't pursue DeAndre Hopkins, said, do you realize Jets fans for the last 2, 3 years have been complaining nonstop about Corey Davis and his drop rate when in reality, he had his first year with the Jets was the only time he was really that bad in terms of holding on to the football. But you brought in Alan Lazard, who has a higher drop rate than Corey Davis, and everyone just looks the other way because they're excited that it's a new guy. They don't want to look at any of the big picture. What happens the other night? Alan Lazard, couple of drops. And I'm not saying Alan Lazard sucks and they shouldn't have signed him. Of all the players they brought in to make Aaron Rodgers happy, Lazard's the best and has the most potential to contribute. And I think he's going to be a good player. Doesn't create as much separation against man coverage as you'd like to see. I've talked about that a couple times in recent weeks that outside of Garrett Wilson, and again, this is not to excuse Zach Wilson. Zach's been bad, but he's not getting a lot of help in terms of if teams just man up and just, play press man against these receivers, Jets receivers aren't separating. Garrett Wilson is the exception. So you don't have a guy who's creating separation. You're playing Randall Cobb 43 snaps to Mecole Hardman's 2. And listen, let's be honest. And someone said this to me on Twitter yesterday, and to be fair, it's a good question. And it's one that Jets fans might not want to hear. And I'm not saying it is the case, but maybe Mecole Hardman's bad. Maybe the Jets are seeing him in practice and saying, we shouldn't have signed this guy. We can have him active. He's got some value as a return man if we need him there. And he's better than, maybe they feel like he's better than Jason Brownlee at this point. But maybe it was a bad sign by Joe Douglas. I have a hard time believing that. I have a hard time believing that if for a team that cannot move the football, that Mecole Hardman would not be a better option on offense than Randall Cobb. He can bring more to the table. He can do more in terms of, jet sweep, end around, all that stuff he did in Kansas City. And you're going to tell me he can't be, he had 740 yards a couple of years ago. And he might be the fastest guy on the roster. Probably between him and Izzy Abanikanda, the other guy who doesn't play on a team that can't score points. So we've got a lot of guys, a lot of moving parts, a lot of players. The roster as a whole, $23 million tied up in not just Aaron Rodgers, but all of the players that were brought in to bring in the familiar faces, the Cobbs, Lazards, Turners, and Dalvin Cook. You've got to include him. Like as I said, we saw Rodgers campaigning for the Jets to add him, and that's what the Jets have done from the outset: is give Rodgers what he wants. But now Rodgers, after a few weeks, is looking at Jets fans like we're a bunch of weirdos. Like, he's guy, calm down, everybody. He didn't do the RELAX thing, but he did go on McAfee and say, I wish guys would calm down. I wish the players would calm down. He sees Michael Carter screaming at the coach on the sidelines. He sees Garrett Wilson and Zach at one point seeming not really mad, but they looked a little animated, like there was some frustration there. And there's going to be when you're not moving the football for, I would love to say for a couple of weeks, but let's be honest, for months, you're not moving the football. What do you expect? Fans are fed up. That's why they're lashing out. But to Aaron Rodgers, this is all brand new. To him, this is week 3. To Jets fans, this is week 85 of this stuff. Been going on for years. It's not going to stop anytime soon. Trevor Siemian's not leading this team to the playoffs, and I hope I'm wrong. I hope Trevor Siemian comes out and throws 25 touchdowns and 6 interceptions, and this team goes to the playoffs. I don't see it happening. You know, he's got some numbers that suggest he can be a guy that gets you some points and doesn't turn it over, which is really all you're asking for. You know, it's what they've asked of Zach Wilson. Zach has done the whole manage the game thing better. He's done the whole protect the football better, but he hasn't gotten any better at getting the ball into the end zone. And with a non-existent running game because teams are stacking the box, and we've all talked about that. Tony Romo talked about it, nonstop the other day. Let's let this kid throw early on. Teams are stacking the box. There are 8, 9, 10 guys in the box, and you just keep running on first down. And then you got 2nd and 10, 2nd and 11, 2nd and 13. And then you're in a bad spot. Throw it on first down. Hey, look, you 2nd and 6. What do you know? And then you run it 3rd and 2. Look at what do you got here? But this is and if you think back to those old Paul Hackett days, and I mentioned this last night with Chris Schubert, that was the time that head coach Herm Edwards said that punting isn't a bad thing. It's sometimes the defensive minded head coach is like, let's just keep punting, and eventually someone will make a play, and we'll win 10-3 or 10-9. Maybe one day we go crazy and win 17-13. What do you year 1 million of this garbage? I don't know, Jets fans, how we put up with this. Which reminds me, come out to the game on Sunday. I get that it's frustrating. I get that it's, easy for me to say, right? Look, I'm in England. Sorry, I can't make the commute. But look, they sucked before I moved to England, and I still had season tickets, and I still went and watched them lose more often than they won. And I always hated sitting in a sea of opposing fans. It's, when it's 50-50 or 40-60, I swear to God, there were Pats games I felt like they had 70% of the building. And I got fans yelling at me a couple weeks ago. Jets fans, show out. You don't know what you're talking about. We sell games out. No, 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 no. You sell the tickets to other fans. It's what you do. The game is sold out, but it ain't sold out with Jets fans. It hasn't been for. It was Monday night. Rodgers is hurt, and I thought to myself then, will we see one more game this year that's 90-95% Jets fans? I don't know that we will. I hope we do. I hope Jets fans come out, and we all knew that this early part of the schedule, this early part of the season was going to be rough. And even if they did have Aaron Rodgers, and now that you're kind of staring 1-5, 1-6 in the face, it ain't easy. I've been there, but man, do I hate seeing the stadium full of opposing fans. Let's get out there. Again, easy for me to say being 3,475 miles away, but appreciate it, Jets fans. I know the team stinks, but the game experience, the tailgating, the friends, all that stuff, I don't know. I always loved it. I know it's not every listen, some people wanna be on their sofa and 5 feet from the bathroom and no lines, and they don't wanna pay $11 for a hot dog. I get it. I'm not the guy telling you how to fan. You're not a real fan if you don't go. That's not what I'm doing. I I have days where I feel like Jets fans all deserve medals for still sticking with this team. Um, and anyone that walks away, I don't go, "Oh, you're never a real fan." I'm like, "Hey, man, you hung in there. You did your 20, 30, 40, 50 years of inept football with clueless coaching and all that's gone along with it." And I don't specifically mean Salah, but whether we like it or not, folks, it might be time to start talking draft a little bit in the coming weeks and months, as the Jets will be picking higher than we anticipated. Cam Ward, anyone? He's my QB prospect right now that I've been talking about, tweeting about, watched them a lot last year. If you've not seen him, check him out. Highly recommend it. Looks like he's starting to gain some steam nationally. I hadn't heard anyone on of the draft podcasts I listened to, hadn't heard anyone mention his name nationally until the other day. Rick Spielman does a daily or weekly draft pod, and he said Cam Ward, after his performance against Oregon State, is now his QB3. And here's a guy that I was thinking last year, man, you might steal this guy in the 2nd or 3rd round. And this year he's come back even better and stronger, and is now a 17-year veteran GM saying this guy as of today is QB3 in this class. So pipe dream, perhaps. More draft stuff coming up. Myself and Chris Schubert on Jet Nation Live. Stay tuned to jetnation.com. Log in to jetnation.com where you can register, become a part of the most active Jets message board on the web. Give us a follow, like, subscribe, all that stuff on YouTube. and follow Jet Nation. Follow me on Twitter at NY no, sorry, at JN Radio underscore Glenn. Have a good one, Jets fans. Prediction for this week, Chiefs big win. Let's say 34-7 Chiefs. With the hope that Zach Wilson comes out and rolls out and they move the pocket and he throws the ball down the field and he completes some passes down the field. And it's an upset win, unlikely, or at least an entertaining game. Give me a 34-28 loss and I can walk away saying maybe the lights come on for the kid. Maybe it has, but probably not. Have a good one, Jets fans.